Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the live reaction from Championship Wrestling presented by Pro Shingle. Woo! Man, what a show we had today. Let me get all situated here as you guys enter. Very cool stuff. All right. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another live reaction. What a show featuring some of my absolute favorite matches, especially the mask versus title. So this is another live reaction. If you guys have any questions or any comments or anything like that, let's talk about some wrestling. Chris Downs, how are you, man? Welcome to the live reaction. What a show. So the idea here is all three of today's matches were all main event matches. And they would be main event matches anywhere that you put them on television. So very, very cool. What'd you guys think? Hello, Lamb. Thanks for joining us. Lamb's like the Championship Wrestling historian. If there's something I don't know, he usually knows. Greg, thank you, man. Another wonderful show. We've got another good one next week. I don't know if you guys heard the lineup that we have coming up next week. Kurt, what's up, brother? Look, I'm drinking coffee out of my Hollywood cup. Now, just to, I know there was some stuff in the chat room talking about the differences between Championship Wrestling from Hollywood and Championship Wrestling presented by Pro Shingle. Is we do use the same talent roster, but they're two totally different shows. So like we had the feature on Mid-South Coliseum with King Cobra, the feature on Middleton Independent Wrestling, the haircut segment, different things like that, where you might not see that on Championship Wrestling from Hollywood. So that way it gives you a reason to watch two different programs. And what else are we doing other than watching professional wrestling? How much great talent. I shared that link with 4 people. Thank you, brother. Greg, so much great talent. Thank you for sharing the links. Oh yeah, Mr. E. All right, so we kicked off today's show with something fun, and hopefully you guys got a chuckle out of it, because my Maria cut my hair, and you know no one touches the hair except for myself and my stylist, and that's it. So let me just give you a little peek of where we're at here. Yep. That's what happens. That's what I get. Yep. That's what I get for that. So a little slip of the guard there, and Buzz cut me down the back. I look like Hawk, except for in the back. And then, of course, after that, we went into our action where we had Bateman with Sarah Wolf, who last week we saw Bateman win the United Television Championship against Royce Isaacs at Coastline Clash. This was the rematch, and of course at the end it was interrupted by the best Scorpio freaking Sky from AEW on the show today. He was doing big things when this was actually filmed too, so it was a huge surprise to everybody that Scorpio Sky made his return to the United Wrestling Network and Championship Wrestling, and he captured a record 5th United Television Championship victory in that. So we'll be seeing Scorpio Sky here in the coming weeks. He had some awesome matches on his way out as he was heading over to AEW. Well, gold that we don't see the back on TV. Yes, it's a good thing that you do not see the back on television. So also next week it was announced that we're going to see Royce Isaacs versus Bateman one more time, and this time it's in a bull rope match. Have you guys seen this bull rope match or heard anything about the bull rope match? It aired last year. Thank you, Mr. E. You like the studio? Did you guys see the bull rope match from last year? Anybody remember that? When will we see live wrestling events? I'm dying to go to one. Chris, it's going to be very, very soon. I was in Boonville just yesterday. You'll see that footage coming up on the show. Of course, we saw Middleton Independent Wrestling today featured on the show. Both of those companies are just, oh my gosh, they're chomping at the bit to get back, but they got to make sure that they're safe and that they follow the CDC guidelines. And so what we're doing is we're trying to help get word out that live pro wrestling will return, and eventually we'll have brand new wrestling matches on our show as well. But yeah, pro wrestling is going to return. That's right, Lamb. It was a bloody mess, that bull rope match. Those two have great chemistry. That's exactly right. Pro wrestling is essential. You're right about that. Fantastic wrestling. As wrestler, I've seen him in AEW. That's a great match with Watt. Oh no, I'm looking forward to seeing that. Doesn't okay. So yeah, live pro wrestling's coming back, but on next week's show, you are not going to want to miss, if you have not seen this bull rope match, it is probably going to be the bloodiest match that you've ever witnessed in your entire life. We were actually nervous when we sent it over to CW30 to air because it's just that bloody. And so you'll see. And then also we're going to weave in some brand new content and some brand new thoughts. I'm not going to give it away, but you want to watch that match. Even if you've seen it previously, it's going to be different than it ever has been before. So we're listening to our audience and some of the ideas that you guys have. We're implementing those because that's what you want to see. So that's coming up next week, the big bloody bull rope match. And then, of course, today we had the NWA Women's World Championship on the line as Allison Kay defended against Killer Bay Heather Monroe and Houston Body. Now, I'm actually surprised that Houston and Heather didn't somehow formulate a plan to steal the NWA Women's World title. And so week after week, when we watch the women's matches, you guys are always asking about a women's championship here at Championship Wrestling, which, hey man, I'm all in. But at this point, the women's title that we recognize here at Championship Wrestling presented by Pro Shingle is the NWA Women's World title. So when the NWA Women's World Champion, who is now currently Thunder Rosa, when they come into town, that's the opportunity for Championship Wrestling and for that star to get put on the map by winning a world title such of the caliber of the NWA. So this is big. It was big on today's show. Let's see. I'm just going through some of the Chris Jericho and Smoky Mountain was bloody. Yeah. I have to see it. I can't wait. Greg, NWA is my other favorite. Well, then you're in good luck, Mr. E, because we do have some more NWA stars that are going to be on the program coming up very, very soon. And I mentioned the NWA Women's World title match. Allison Kay defended the championship today. The current reigning and defending NWA Women's World Champion, when everything gets back to normal, will be Thunder Rosa. She is the current champion. Lamb asks, who on Championship Wrestling should face the NWA Women's World Champ next when they return to Championship Wrestling? Well, just based off of what have you done for me lately, wouldn't it be Lacey Ryan? Lacey Ryan and Heather Monroe with their best of 7 series. Man, not only has it been entertaining, but it's been extremely competitive. So if Heather's already had her opportunity, Lacey is no pushover, man. What about Lacey Ryan versus Thunder Rosa for the NWA Women's World title? That would be awesome. And speaking of NWA, Mr. E was mentioning how much of a fan he was. Coming up in the next few weeks on the program, you're going to see the NWA stars. You're going to see the Question Mark. You're going to see Ricky Starks coming up soon. D-Man Dan Parker, of course. You see Royce Isaacs with the NWA as well. David Marquez, of course, he's with the NWA. Trying to think of who else. James Storm, the Cowboy, who was the national heavyweight champion, current tag team champion with NWA. And of course, the NWA World Champion, the real World's Champion, Nick Aldis, will be on the program here in the coming weeks. So stay with us, hang tight. Each and every week, Mr. E says Zicky Dice, the television champion, you know he's on the program. He was on the podcast a couple of weeks ago. He had a special feature last week. So yeah, we've got plenty of Zicky Dice, trust me. Don't forget Dave Marquez, current favorite Zicky Dice. Yes, sorry guys, I did not forget Zicky Dice. You know we see him almost every week on the program already. And if you follow him on social media, you'll probably get enough of Zicky Dice, if you know what I'm saying. But next week's women's match is going to be Killer Bay, Heather Monroe with Houston Body versus, oh gosh, it just drew a blank. Oh, Simone Cherie. I'm sorry, I'm a big fan of Simone Cherie and Women of Wrestling. If you haven't seen WOW, of course you can catch Simone Cherie on there, but it's gonna be Heather Monroe versus Simone Cherie, and they've had some really good matches too. The show was better than last night's SmackDown. Thank you, James. That's what we strive to do, is give you guys an alternative outside of WWE and AEW and whatever other pro wrestling. We just want to be added to that list. You guys have any questions? Next week's women's match, Simone Cherie, Heather Monroe, and then also the bull rope match, which is Bateman versus Royce Isaacs with the United TV title on the line. It is a crazy, crazy match. Let's see what the comments. Oh yeah, Cherie versus Heather was a good one. Yeah, they had several good ones. So Rith, what's up, Rith thing? Is that Rith thing? Hey, should I ask how King Cobra got his nickname? Well, I kind of touched base on that with him because I never knew why his name was King Cobra, but it's basically because of the snake, as far as I know. But since his name was King Cobra and you had Jerry the King Lawler, they butted heads at the studio where it ended up King Cobra walking away and Lawler throwing a chair at the back of his head. And so that started the big feud and the big fight that happened in 1989, December of 89. It was the first time a black man had ever become the unified world champion in Memphis. And so it was very cool to interview King Cobra in the very spot. That spot we were standing was exactly where the ring was. And then next week, we're going to take you behind the scenes into the locker room area and all that good stuff. But King Cobra is a Memphis wrestling legend. And it was cool to tour the historic building with him. James, I'm going to watch again tonight. Thanks, man. Let us know. Send us some comments. We always respond to them. Do you think Corey Graves is the SmackDown hacker? No, I think that Mustafa Ali is the SmackDown hacker. Why would it be Corey Graves? He's an announcer. Joseph Dawson, what's up, man? I haven't seen you in about a year. Joseph Dawson was the very first winner of our giveaway where he won a Grind City Wrestling Championship belt. What's up, Joseph? Thanks for watching the show. Next week is going to be just as good. Mr. East, he seems very cool. I like what he said earlier. Yeah, the part where he says that it was never really a dream of his to become world champion. His dream was to become a professional wrestler, which is super cool, man. You want to be a professional wrestler so bad. It was like me, I never pictured myself in WWE or WCW growing up. I always pictured myself in Memphis wrestling with Lance Russell and Dave Brown, and that's exactly what I wanted to do, and that was it. Now, of course, later it became WWE and all that kind of stuff. That's where I wanted to be, but for the most part, I am a Memphis wrestling guy. We've got one more part. That King Cobra interview is a 3-part series. Part 3 is coming next week. And then also the feature that we did on Middleton Independent Wrestling, there's going to be some more of that. Just yesterday, I was in Boonville, Mississippi with EPW Wrestling. And so here in the coming weeks, you're going to see a little bit about that as well. James said, I saw that on YouTube. James says, yes, it's Ali. I believe so too. I have Randy Savage versus Jerry Lawler in a steel cage. Oh, wow, that's nice. If you remember back in 2017, Corey played a similar hacker role in Enzo and Cass in that storyline between Angle and Jordan, plus the SmackDown hacker storyline. Maybe it is way to return to the ring. You think Corey Graves is returning to the ring? I don't think there's 0% chance of that. When will you challenge Nick Aldis for the 10 pounds of gold? Thank you for that, Kelvin. I appreciate that. I would love to challenge Nick Aldis for the 10 pounds of gold because some of you may know and some of you may not know. But if you go to 5-Star Fan Cam right here on YouTube, you will find a match where it was myself and my Maria vying for the Global Force World's Championship against Nick Aldis. And of course, Mickie James, his wife, had to stick her nose into our business as well. But I pinned Nick Aldis for the Global Force World Heavyweight Championship. And that means that I could pin him for the NWA World's Heavyweight Championship. Nick Aldis, bring it to Memphis. NWA wants to talk about tradition, heart, the 10 pounds of gold. No better place than Memphis, Tennessee. Come and prove it. I've challenged him before. He knows that. Lamb, you wrestled in Middleton Wrestling. Yes, I have wrestled in Middleton Independent Wrestling. If you go to 5-Star Fan Cam on YouTube right here, you'll be able to find matches from MIW. And also follow them on Facebook, Middleton Independent Wrestling. Mr. E, I love the legends. Lived in the area that they lived in. Yes, they have such a unique perspective on the business. I do too. It's one thing, I always say that I got lucky working in sports, whether it's working for the Memphis Redbirds, the Memphis Grizzlies, Memphis Hustle, whatever the case may be, Memphis Wrestling. But I never had to pack up and move off other than working with WWE. So I've been lucky in the sense that I live in the city that I'm a fan of. I didn't have to become a fan of another team or become a fan of another wrestling promotion because we all had it right here in Memphis. And so that's super cool for me. But yeah, like these legends, King Cobra, he lives in Memphis, Tennessee. So he has a whole different outlook than what somebody that lives in California or Germany or anything like that would. But the whole idea is to teach and educate everyone that Mid-South Coliseum was very historic. King Cobra was the first African-American world champion. He pinned Jerry Lawler in that building. That building, it was supposed to be torn down. We helped save it, we being the Coliseum Coalition, myself and Maria. And so over the years, we've saved the building. Now it's just redeveloping and I'm trying to get that building to be something else. Let's see here. I'm looking back in the... I'm tired of the hacker storyline. I have not seen SmackDown yet. I'll probably watch it tonight. Corey trained with his brother in the ring 2 weeks ago. I don't think Corey Graves is coming back to the ring. If he does, why? Why would he? He has got a cushy job. He is probably the most well-known announcer at this point for WWE because he was on all the shows. I just don't see it happening. And if it does, I don't think he's going to be very on fire. I think WWE should do King of the Ring now. All singles matches that connect. Be perfect for these times. King of the Ring could be cool. Would love to see you on NWA Power one day. Thanks, Kelvin. It's not out of the question. It could absolutely happen. I know Lagana and gosh, the whole roster over there pretty much are friends of mine. Of course, Dave, my partner with Championship Wrestling. James says, who remembers Bruiser Brody? I think everybody remembers Bruiser Brody. Even if we weren't old enough, we remember the dark side of the ring on Bruiser Brody. Lamb said, what was Nick Aldis' reaction, by the way, at the Red Carpet Rumble event when you two see each other years after the match? Well, all right, so to give you a peek behind the curtain, me and Nick Aldis are buddies. We're friends. We hung out after the Red Carpet Rumble with James Storm, Ricky Starks. We all kind of got together. I mean, just over the years of 20 years being in the wrestling business, we've crossed each other's paths enough to where we're friendly. But when the bell rings or when the match is signed, all that goes out the window. So just because we're friendly outside of the ring does not mean that we're friendly when we get inside the ring. Because I will beat him up and I will take his championship. That's all I got to say about that. I would say it to his face too. Also, Mickie James, such a sweetheart. Such a sweetheart. She attacked my Maria during that match too. So you guys should go to 5-Star Fan Cam on YouTube and just look it up. Dustin Starr versus Nick Aldis. You can't miss it. Says, Dustin, you've done the work for sure, but I agree you've had a almost storybook career so far. Well, I appreciate that, mystery. I'm not on the downslope of my career either. I might not be wrestling in the ring as often, and you probably won't see me wrestle in the ring very much, but my career has done better, you know, outside of the ring at this point, so I can mix it up a little bit. I don't have to always be in the ring, but I appreciate that, man. I'm doing my best. Let's see. James says Jerry Lawler versus Kerry Von Erich. I have that match. If you look in the beginning, Kerry Von Erich accidentally cuts his own chest, his stomach with a blade. He's bleeding before the match even happens. Do you think that The Rock and Batista should star in a movie together? I don't know. I think that would be pretty good. Both of them have become huge movie stars. Do you have your own page on WWE YouTubers Wikia? No, I do not have a WWE page. Not sure what that means, Rith. Help me out. Brody scared all of us, Mr. E. My cousin said Hulk Hogan's the hacker. Rith thing, do you think NWA should sign Michael Majahati? I'm not familiar with Michael's work, so I couldn't answer that question. Greg says, Dustin, I have to tell you, you have one of the greatest drop kicks in wrestling. Oh, thanks, Greg. I've done a ton of terrible ones, so that's how I've gotten to be good at them. The great Antonio Rocco had a great drop kick. Randy Orton has a fantastic drop kick. Rith says Bo Dallas should leave WWE and join NWA or AEW. Do you think Bo Dallas would get paid as much money to do nothing at AEW or NWA? Why is it such a bad thing to be under contract, making awesome money, and having to sit at home? I know you as wrestling fans don't enjoy that, but I could find it hard to believe that Bo Dallas wants to stop getting that constant paycheck. All right, so here we go. Have an amazing drop kick. I don't know how the heck you do that. Oh my gosh. It hurts. Kerry was lit. Kevin Von Erich also. Substance abuse is unfortunate. It is. Yep. Mark Jindrak. Oh, Mark Jindrak. He's been on Twitter here lately showing off that drop kick. What's Kurt saying here? In your podcast, you brought up the shirt tear against Lawler. That was funny. Nice heel move. That was the one I saw. So to hear your story in the podcast was great. So what Kurt's talking about, thanks Kurt, is on the podcast, you guys have the opportunity to ask me questions. And so I usually post this on my Instagram. So if you go to @DustinStar on Instagram, you'll see ask me questions, put in anything you want. And then I record the answers onto the podcast. And so there was a time where it was kind of a superhero theme. Jerry was wearing Batman gear, you know, on his tights and stuff, and his wristbands and everything. And myself and my Maria were dressed as Superman or Super 5-Star, where my Maria has a Supergirl outfit on that looked pretty hot, by the way. And then, of course, I had a star and, you know, red and yellow and blue like Superman with a 5 in the center of it, which, by the way, I sold that shirt. And Maria sold her heels as memorabilia here recently to a fan that reached out. But standing across the ring from the King, I said, watch this, King. And I went to tear that shirt off and it would not budge. Not only was the whole audience laughing at me, King was laughing at me across the ring. I could not tear that shirt for anything. And I even pre-cut it. It was, oh my gosh. And then finally I just took off and threw it down. But there's a lot of insider stories and fun stories that you guys would like on the podcast each and every week. Thanks for bringing that up, Greg. That's funny. Or Kurt, I'm sorry. He swears he's got the best 10 drop kicks ever. Okay. Eric Rowan should join the Dark Order. He has to create his own creepy stable. He is also going by a different name now. James says AEW, NWA, ROH, New Japan, Championship Wrestling are the best. Thanks, man. I totally agree with that, too. Guys like Brody made it possible for guys like Archer, Brody King, Braun Strowman, and others to get coveted in the business. Yep. He was Brody was awesome, man. It was a different time back then. I hate this idea by fans that everyone should leave WWE or other company to join AEW. AEW can't sign everyone. That's right. It would become WCW 2.0. Do you think the WWE should re-sign Drake Maverick? I don't think WWE should have let go of Drake Maverick. So yes, the answer is yes. Rowan in the Dark Order would be cool, but then you'd be putting those guys right back together. I mean, they didn't work really in WWE, that combo. So why would you put them back together in AEW? You know, I know we're used to seeing Brody Lee and Eric Rowan in the same team, but I do miss Rick Rude as well. Kurt, you also brought up all of your shoes and how you signed a fan's shoes. You could auction some of your collection for St. Jude or something that I would bid. Awesome, man. Well, that's a good idea, Kurt. I should do that. If you are interested in just reaching out about some memorabilia or shoes, send me a direct message on any of the social platforms at Dustin Starr, and that's Star with 2 R's. And we could totally work something out. My Maria actually works at St. Jude. So we are very, very close with St. Jude as far as donating and knowing what's going on there. I do live streams with my buddies at Nerd 901, and the live streams are video games benefiting St. Jude. So it's the St. Jude Play Live. So that's a great idea. But if you are interested in memorabilia or shoes or anything like that, just send me a direct message. We can work something out for sure. And I did sign a kid's shoes at the basketball game. Some of you may not know that I am one of the hosts and MCs at every Memphis Grizzlies basketball game. And so one of the kids wanted me to sign his shoes, and they were Jordans. And I was like, kid, you're going to get in trouble for this. Don't let me ruin your shoes. Your mom's going to be mad. His mom was sitting right next to him going, no, sign them. And so I said I ruined his shoes. But I put the autograph on him. That was definitely very cool. Just like signing a baseball, very cool. Let's see. The Rock did that in Indy, couldn't get his shirt off. Oh, it was very embarrassing until I realized I'm a bad guy, so it doesn't matter. So just got some heat off of it. My father liked his drop kick. He would be so impressed with your great drop kick. Definitely one of the greatest of all time you have. Thanks, Greg, man. I just don't see it that way, but I appreciate it, man. I think the Rock and Roll Express, double drop kick, one of the best I've seen. Gosh, AJ Styles does a backflip out of his drop kick. James says, when is NWA on? NWA is on YouTube every Tuesday at 5:05, and they've had some new stuff here recently. Greg said, wish my dad was alive to see your dropkick. Man, me too, Greg. Drake Maverick is amazing. Vince is the grandpa of all the wrestling promotions. Why WWE doesn't value NXT with respect? I think they do. I mean, they got their own television show. They got almost a million viewers every week. That's pretty strong. I hope Vince does not sell WWE. Do I know Romania? I do not know Romania. Andy Kaufman, there you go. I am going to watch NWA every Tuesday. I watch NWA every Tuesday as well. Is the team of Owens and Samoa Joe over? Yes, Samoa Joe is actually on the broadcast team now. Mr. E, Dustin, you are a multi-talented cat. You seem very grounded. That usually comes from having your life in order. Well, thank you, Mr. E. We're sitting in my living room here because we don't have access to a studio. Yeah, we're plugging away, man. Memphis is opening back up. So here in the next couple of weeks, hopefully we'll be back at Dave & Buster's for our pay-per-view watch parties. Might actually have a championship wrestling watch party in there because it's been so long since we've been. But if you guys have any other questions, put them up in the chat. If not, I'm going to go hop over onto the Championship Wrestling Facebook and go live there. That'll be, I think, the first time I've ever gone live there. Do you know Anthony Green? Do you think he's fit? I do not know Anthony Green, sorry. Things are opening up. Who remembers the Freebirds? Everybody remembers the Freebirds. But be sure, if you can, if you're in the area or not, be sure to support our awesome sponsors. If you're in the Memphis or Mid-South area and you have a leak or you need a new roof or just need an inspection or anything like that, any kind of home improvement needs, go to proshingle.com and you can check them out. They'll pay your insurance deductible up to $1,000. Nobody else is doing that. And then also, Be Free CBD. If you have thought about trying CBD, or if you have anxiety or depression or anything like that, CBD might be the right answer, and BeFreeCBD.com is the place to go. It's the letter B and then freecbd.com. Now that is not just a Memphis thing. They can ship all over the place. So if you guys take that, give them a shot and tell them that Championship Wrestling sent you. And I can't wait to do this all again next week. Just going through the last comments here. Do you know Wrestle Talk? I think I do know Wrestle Talk, actually. My God, the elevation is amazing on your dropkick. Thanks, Greg. Don't worry, I'll be throwing some more of those on the show pretty soon. But thank you, guys. One last look at the hair. It is real. I really did let my Maria cut my hair. And she really did gap me up a little bit, but that's okay. At least it's in the back. I joked earlier even that even though my car doesn't need shingles, Pro Shingle makes me want to add some shingles. Thanks. The commentator was impressed with your drop kick. Have them shampoo it. It's a roof shampoo. A roof shampoo actually costs a fraction, literally a fraction of what it costs to replace your roof. It's very, very affordable. How about cut your hair bald? If there's one thing in the city of Memphis that I get recognized for the most, hands down, it is because of the hair. I can't shave my head, Lamb. Come on, man. You know this. But anyway, if you guys want to join me, I'm going to go to @CW30 Wrestling on Facebook, and I'm going to go live there next. Thank you for joining me on the live reaction. I can't wait to see you guys next week and to talk to you next week right here on Championship Wrestling presented by Pro Shingle. Thanks, everybody. Have a good